Hello, my friends. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. The following is a conversation with Erik Henden, a local, important person in my life, a gentleman that's become a friend. And I hope you enjoy the conversation. He's an airline pilot. He's a mountaineer. He's a rower. And, something that we also didn't expect to talk about, but also enjoyed is a little bit of history and a little bit about Air Force flying, because we both share that in common as well.
Anyway, speaking of the 1938 Olympics.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, rowing was cool. I would love to get back into it. There's some clubs around here, like I think Lake Whatcom has a club and Everett has a club. But as you know, where we live, it's like kind of far to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So to drive to Lake Whatcom or Everett at 5 a.m, I don't know.
It's a ways.
I'm not that motivated.
Right. But a 2-person sculling boat, would be pretty incredible to.
Oh, I think the Big Lake Rowing Club just started officially. So. Yeah.
Well, you first probably need, right, exactly.
Because
Because a boat like that's fast, that's fun to row, would probably cost used $10,000, right?
Yeah, something like that. There's a lot of used ones for sale around here. I've looked on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just haven't really felt like spending the money, and I also don't have a great place to put it yet. I'm actually currently in the process of cleaning out my garage.
Nice.
So maybe in a week or two.
And you're looking at building a dock, aren't you?
Well, when we moved here a few years ago, we had a floating dock that was basically an island, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so you had to
sure.
like wade out to it.
Yep.
So we built a pier. So we have like a 2 or 3 year old pier that's really nice that goes out to the floating dock, but we need to replace the floating dock. We just got a boat lift, actually.
Nice.
I don't know if I told you that, but
Yeah, you said that.
a week or two ago, we got a boat lift. So we're kind of like piece by piece redoing the dock, but it's not cheap, as you know. So
No.
the floating dock is the final, piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I wonder how you would probably want to lift just for that, rowing boat, right?
Well, they're
Get it
super
out of the
lightweight,
water.
so you can just carry it up and down.
Yeah.
Like when I was in college, we would carry it from we had a waterfront area at the Merchant Marine Academy, which it's actually a really amazing property. It's Walter Chrysler's estate. So he built his mansion there on the North Shore of Long Island to watch the Chrysler building being constructed in Manhattan.
Pretty cool.
Which was like maybe the original skyscraper in Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken. This was back in like the 20s or 30s, right? So he would, I'm assuming, sit in his mansion and just watch his skyscraper being built across the water, which must have been a pretty cool feeling. But when he passed away, the government bought the property in the late 30s, early 40s to open the Merchant Marine Academy because there was a desperate need for merchant mariners during World War II.
Okay.
Right. Another great movie, that Tom Hanks Greyhound movie. Did you ever watch that?
That one was excellent.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know
right.
kind of like the Merchant Marine side of.
I want to know about it.
Yeah. Well, that movie does a good job. But the U-boats attacking merchant ships and all that, like it was pretty dangerous. Yeah. So the Merchant Marine Academy is in the town of Kings Point. So everyone just calls it Kings Point. I'll just do that. It's shorter.
Yeah.
Easier to say. But it's the only service academy that actually lost students during World War II. So 142, it's a pretty like famous number, if you went there. But 142 midshipmen from the Merchant Marine Academy from Kings Point died on merchant ships from like U-boats and stuff during World War II. So it's a big deal there. But basically the government had a desperate need to produce, seafarers at the time. And so it's been open since like 1943, I think. And they tried to shut it down a few times because I don't think anybody really understands the school.
Right.
But it's been kind of cool lately. It's gotten like new attention from Duffy, the transportation secretary right now. He just visited there and for whatever reason, this administration loves the Merchant Marine Academy.
Really?
So like after, and it's kind of crazy because literally after like decades and decades of like all of us wondering, are they going to shut this school down? You know, because it's under MARAD, under like the Department of Transportation. So it's kind of a unique place. It's not DOD like the other academies, like Coast Guard is Homeland Security.
Right.
So it's always been this drama, like, will they shut the school down? You know, it badly needs repairs. A lot of the facilities are crumbling. And just recently, for whatever reason, it got this new attention. And I think partially it's as Mark Kelly, the senator, went there.
Yep.
So
the
astronaut, senator, yeah, pretty underachieving guy.
Yeah, sure.
You know, he's married to Gabby Giffords as well. You know, the I guess former congresswoman. But he's been advocating for it because he went to Kings Point. So it's been really awesome to see, actually. Like it's, you know, the alumni network is super passionate and like loves the school, and so we're all pretty excited that finally like they're going to throw some money at it.
Nice.
Anyway, so the the waterfront's super cool because it's right on the water on Long Island. And, so we would just carry our shells from the boathouse down to the dock, dodging goose poop. Yep. Which I think about on Big Lake now because there's always
exactly
geese
the same.
Yeah, I literally think about that every time I see goose poop. I'm like, just like rowing at Kings Point.
Yeah.
But
and carrying that thing, where do they? You could store it.
Just the rowers in the boat can carry it easily. It's carbon fiber.
Yeah.
We just had racks, like slide out racks, so we put them on. So the thing to do would be to have, what I would like to do is put like a ceiling mounted sling of some sort, you know, with like roof boxes for cars. So I would like sort of store it up there.
You could just get a cover, couldn't you? In this climate, you could store it outside in your yard and just pull it up.
I mean, if I made an investment like that, I would probably keep it indoors. And we have a big garage, so like it's just
keep it in the garage.
It's full of junk, but I would keep it in the garage
on a pulley and then just hang it up.
Something, just like
hang it up high.
Some sort of, you know, ceiling mounted system, But
back to the Merchant Marine.
These are all pipe dreams.
Yeah, right. Totally. Well, let's talk about that. I'd love to have a workout like that.
I think there's a lot of people on the lake
minutes.
who'd be interested.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because you're probably gassed in 30 minutes doing that, right? Be 40 minutes.
I mean, it just depends on your level of rowing fitness, right? But I would say you could get out there for an hour and get a killer workout in.
Yeah.
It's full body, cardio, every muscle. Just gotta be careful not to like hurt your lower back. That's what happens to a lot of people.
Lower back
injuries.
You have to have, probably perfect form. Well, keep your back straight, right?
Not so much perfect, but like we were talking about with like using your legs, right? Like don't try to like murder the oar with your upper body. Like it's all about that leg drive.
Yep.
And then stretching. Like when I was in college, my coach made us do yoga, which I always just thought yoga was ridiculous. Like my whole life. I mean, younger people probably don't gravitate towards yoga, I would say.
No.
Because it requires patience and, maturity. But in college, I started doing yoga and it was like life-changing. Like, I don't know how much yoga you've done, but like just flexibility that you gain. And
yeah, I appreciate yoga.
Yeah,
I've done it a little bit.
He knew we would we're a bunch of,
meatheads.
18 to 22-year-old meatheads who are definitely going to hurt ourselves if we weren't, stretched out and flexible. So
yeah, that's pretty funny to imagine you guys in yoga class.
Yeah, it's as comical as you can imagine. Like a bunch of, college-age meatheads wearing spandex doing yoga. And
yeah, exactly.
Not to mention the terminology in rowing is kind of like full of innuendo too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't get crude on your podcast, but anybody who's curious can Google rowing terminology.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I mean it's literally called stroking the oar,
right?
For example.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway,
yeah. So the Merchant Marine Academy, we're bouncing back between rowing and Merchant Marine Academy, but the Merchant Marine Academy sounds like it produces some key individuals that are supporting our country's interests.
Yeah.
And our as we ferry products across the Atlantic and the Pacific. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, it's a huge deal for national security. I think like it's about 2/3 of the graduates go into the merchant marine, maritime industry. Working
Right.
on ships.
Mm-hmm.
Third mates, third
Mm-hmm.
engineers,
Mm-hmm.
ship's officers, basically like
Yeah.
either in charge of the deck and
Mm-hmm.
the navigation of the ship or the engine room and that type of thing.
And they're
And you get a
working.
Coast Guard license. You have to take
Okay.
like a Coast Guard license exam. And so that's
Yep.
about 2/3 of the graduates go work on our merchant ships, which there's a thing called the Jones Act, which is it mandates that a certain number of ships are built in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and crewed by U.S. Mariners,
Mm-hmm.
which is more expensive, right? So like
Yep.
over the years, we've kind of gotten away from that as a maritime industry because it's cheaper to like
Buy a ship.
flag a ship in a foreign country and hire foreign labor. They just typically most countries like don't pay their
Mm-hmm.
seafarers and their mariners as much as we do in the U.S. And there's fewer regulations and things like that. So seems like a thing that positive thing this administration is focusing on is like bringing more shipbuilding, more trying to produce more mariners
Right.
domestically, which is
Mm-hmm.
a huge national security concern because if there was
Mm-hmm.
ever a conflict,
Right.
we have all these ships that a lot of people don't realize, like it's like the ready reserve fleet, right? Where if we need to mobilize and take a bunch of stuff overseas for whatever reason, that's how it would happen. You would mobilize all these ships and reservists, a lot of like Navy reservists would work on the ships to get that stuff where it needs to go.
Right.
Like in any war, any conflict, a lot of the stuff travels by sea,
Mm-hmm.
because it's super expensive and it's not all that much room on an airplane, right?
Right.
But on ships, you can take a ton of stuff,
Yep.
Economy of scale. So that's a big deal. And then about 1/3 of the graduates go active duty in the military, which is
Mm-hmm.
what I did. So like, yeah, I think the product that taxpayers get for their money is about as good of a return on investment as you can ask for as a taxpayer, in my opinion. So,
Yeah. And where did you go to pilot training?
Texas, Laughlin.
That's exactly where I went.
Oh, you were in Del Rio too?
Yeah.
What year did you graduate?
Did you go out to eat at Julio's? Was that across the street?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that place will never close. Yeah, great
Yeah.
ships. Great
Yeah.
ships.
I know
What-
there's
what
a lot of
year- what
MSG in
class were
those
you?
chips, though.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it so tasty. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a secret ingredient.
I gotta look. I think I was
I was 11, 14, so I graduated in 2011.
11, 14. Okay. I want to say I was um was I 02?
Sure,
Was
2002. Okay.
Maybe I was later in 2002. But yeah,
So you were probably 02, 15 or 16 or something.
I think maybe 0216 sounds
So I
about right.
graduated in September. So that
Mhm.
I was the 14th, I guess, class of 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, after college, went to I was super lucky, got a pilot training spot in the Air Force and went to Laughlin, beautiful Del Rio by the sea.
I remember
That's
it.
what
Yeah.
we like to say.
So they say Del Rio by the sea because everyone thinks it's on the ocean.
I don't know, or maybe it's because of Lake Amistad is right there. It's actually a really nice lake, like
Mm.
surprisingly nice lake.
So they think border towns, so they're like, "Oh yeah, great, it's on the ocean." And
I think
yeah,
it's a
but you're
joke
right.
because it's
Yeah.
nowhere near the ocean. So
Right.
people just say like beautiful scenic Del Rio by the sea,
Yeah,
which it's not a bad place, but
Yeah. How much-
definitely not the most exciting town when you're like
No.
22.
No, but did they have a marina at?
Yeah,
Lake
yeah.
Amistad?
There's like an Air Force, or at least there used to be an Air Force marina there.
Mhm.
I heard they closed it,
Really?
but they had boats you could rent.
Yeah, I remember.
I had
that.
a boat. My boat that I grew up with. I took it down there
You did?
during pilot training. So yeah, on the weekends we would go out on the lake on Lake Amistad. It was great.
So did you have to get it from Albuquerque or
Yeah,
Santa Fe?
I towed it down from Albuquerque to
Yeah.
Del Rio, and I just had it down there
Nice.
during pilot training, which was actually really nice because it was like the outside of like driving to San Antonio. It was like the one really awesome thing you could do on the weekends to kind of just like decompress was go spend Saturday on the lake and
Totally.
relax, and then Sunday it was like back to work.
Yeah. Did they have wakeboarding or water skiing? you ever do that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up actually, I mean, Big Lake was, I think, where I learned, but wakeboarding and water skiing. And
Hmm.
we, my family, we would go to different lakes around New Mexico and Southwest growing up. But then every summer we would come up to Big Lake for family reunion in July. And we would go out on the Sound, like Puget Sound, camping on the San Juans. And pretty much why I live here is because,
Right.
I grew up doing all that and I kind of fell in love with the area.
I agree.
But,
I agree. We live in such a beautiful area.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, for like 4 months of the year, but
Yeah, I mean, I was in Arizona just last weekend, and
what is it, 120 already?
yeah, it's the landscape is not very inspiring. There's not as much chlorophyll or trees as we have. The water is disgusting.
It's
the
like
tap water is pretty rough. That's why everyone drinks bottled water there.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love the heat. You gotta love the wide open spaces. Which I mean, I grew up in Albuquerque, and I love that place. It's beautiful in its own way.
Yeah.
But I always personally gravitated towards like the water and the trees and the mountains.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time in Phoenix.
That was F-16 training.
Yeah, exactly. Luke in Glendale. But I can find 1,000 things to appreciate up here. When I first flew to this area, I couldn't believe it was so beautiful. It was like the New Zealand of the United States.
It really is. Northwest and Alaska, which I was super lucky to get stationed in Alaska for a few years in Anchorage. And it's similar to here. It's like, I always say it's like Western Washington, but on a bigger scale, everything's just bigger. The animals, the mountains, the distance between things, but it's just kind of isolated. So we had a house there in Anchorage. We thought about moving back there, but
really,
yeah,
a lot of pilots
we loved
live
it.
in Anchorage.
Yeah, I mean FedEx, UPS, Alaska, like you can.
I heard Anchorage played a huge role. They play a huge role in global shipping because they're like over the pole. It's a stop off point
in between like Asia and North America or Europe. It's like kind
halfway,
of
right?
halfway, I think, roughly. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are pilots up there, working for various companies. I was just there last week on a layover, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on a Delta trip. Yeah, we loved it, but it was just so isolated. My dad's from Burlington. I have a lot of family around here, and we had the opportunity to take over our family property on Big Lake, and so that was like a pretty easy decision, really.
You were like, pass that up.
Well, I mean, it hasn't been easy. It's been a lot of work, a lot of money, but labor of love.
Right.
And Big Lake is a special place, as you know. Like between May and September, October, roughly, depending on the year, you can't beat it.
No, it's hard to find lakefront property in Pacific Northwest with everything in the from the spring, and then we also have like a late summer. It doesn't seem to get started until July, but it goes all the way through October.
Well, the joke up here is summer doesn't start till July 5th, right?
Yeah,
because
I know
fireworks displays will get rained out, and then the next day it's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it was at my college roommate's birthday party in Dallas. I was having this conversation with the guy who was we were at his place, like the party was at his place. He went to UW in Seattle, and he was like, like it's beautiful up there, but he was like, one year I was on Lake Washington or Lake Union for a fireworks display on July 4th. And it was freezing and raining, and they canceled the show. Yeah. And that's when I decided to move to Dallas.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a funny story, and I get it. Like, I get why people just get tired of the rain and the clouds. But
yeah, for me, it's February. I think that's a tough month. That's where I'm like,
late winter, it starts to get to you. But you're gaining daylight by February, so it's like,
I think I'm checking the weather app every day, and I'm like, woo, we gained like 2 minutes of daylight today, or 3 minutes.
Yeah, things you don't do in like Southern California.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love snow sports, and in my opinion, like you got to be into snow sports if you live here.
It is a winter survival plan, isn't it?
Right. Otherwise, I don't know what you do all winter.
Yeah.
But if you ski or snowboard, it's, one of the best places in the world to do that, right?
Yeah, a clear day at Mount Baker is insane.
Oh, man. Which is rare.
It is. Yeah, but the background, it looks like Switzerland there.
Oh yeah.
It's really steep and
Or like
pretty cool.
Alpental. Have you ever been to Alpental on a clear day? I mean, yeah, it's literally like the Alps. It's unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's rare, but
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe you appreciate it more because it's like a little bit more rare.
Right. The North Cascades, the Cascade Mountain Range is different than the Rocky Mountains. They have definitely a distinct
Yeah,
shape.
more rugged.
Yeah.
I think they're what, younger,
Yeah, they're
right?
younger.
Because like the Rockies are older, more rounded. Like the Appalachians are like super old and
Right.
just weathered.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Over a gazillion years,
roughly.
rocks change.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love it here.
I
I
think
don't
we
know.
talked about climbing Mount Baker.
Yeah, we've both done that.
We've
Yeah.
both done that. Yeah. I just did it last summer.
I mean, that's like one of the ultimate examples to me of like how amazing this place is.
Mhm.
I was on top of Mount Baker, which is not like the craziest mountain in the world. You know, I don't want to
Mhm.
make it sound like I'm climbing Everest or whatever, but it's a big, I mean, it's an ordeal. It's a big mountain.
It
And
is.
I was in my own bed that night. Like I literally
Mhm.
went from the top of Mount Baker
Yeah.
to sleeping at home in the same day,
Yep.
which I don't know how many places in the world you can be on top of an active volcano,
Mhm.
11,000 feet up, and then
Mhm. Yep.
be in your own bed at night.
Yeah, that climb was way more than I bargained for. It was
It's
way
not
more.
easy.
No,
No,
it was
but
a challenge.
I don't know. I guess we've been talking about doing hard things. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to keep challenging yourself, right?
The hardest part for me, I mean, other than like hiking up soft snow, which is like trying to climb up 11,000 feet of like sand.
Right. It's harder if it's warmer.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
each step is like way more work.
Exactly. Because you're basically smashing the snow. So your steps, you probably net 6 inches sometimes each step instead of, an effective step on hard ground.
Yeah, it takes more steps to get to the top for sure.
Mhm.
Was it pretty warm when you guys climbed it?
Yeah, it was pretty warm. It was warm enough where the snow was soft.
Hmm.
But coming down, I can see why people.
It's kind of fun coming down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coming down the snow was wonderful.
When it's soft like that.
Yeah.
Glissading, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Slide
We
down
stayed
your butt.
overnight, so we had a 50-pound pack that we had to carry down from base camp.
Right. We spent one night up there. Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys did one night or two?
Just one.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. But that was rough. Carrying the pack
It is rough.
on hard ground, coming back down each step.
Yeah. If you do 2 nights, it's a lot more relaxed. But,
Is it?
well, yeah. We had the option. We had a guide from Bellingham.
Mhm.
But yeah, we had the option of like staying another night at base camp
Mhm.
after summiting.
Yeah,
But,
you're right. That would have been easier.
Yeah,
Another
but my
good night's
friend
sleep.
wanted to get home. He had to like go to work,
Mm.
pretty shortly after that. So
Yeah.
honestly, as cool as it is to like say I was like in my own bed that night, I probably would have rather just spent another night up there to recover. But
Yeah.
it was nice to get home.
Yeah, because you don't get much sleep, right? And you're like, it's a long day to come
Well,
down.
no, because you got to
from.
wake up at like 1 or 2 in the morning to
Right.
start climbing.
Yeah, I've heard some people will wake up really early, and drive from their house and then climb the whole thing in one day.
Yeah, a lot of those people are like skiing or boarding down too, because it's a lot quicker, obviously.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I've heard you can park in the lot there by like Baker Lake,
Mhm.
probably 6 or 7 in the morning, right?
Mhm.
Climb up, ski down, and you can be done by the afternoon. But
Mhm.
I think that's only possible if like the snow goes down far enough, right? So it's got to be like more early season, probably
Mhm.
like May, maybe June. And yeah, you got to either ski or split board, which is also, I think, quicker for climbing, right? Like skinning up,
Mhm.
which kind of want to do someday. I did a lot of split boarding in Alaska,
Mhm.
when we lived there. But
Do you think that would be faster than crampons on snow?
yeah, I think so.
Going uphill with
Yeah.
skins?
Yeah. Because you're sliding
Yeah.
versus walking.
Yeah, and you stay on the top of the snow, right?
Stay on the top of the snow. I think it's less work overall, like more efficient, right?
Mhm.
You're kind of like, you can like zigzag up,
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's probably pretty well established tracks on like Baker. Like Baker and Rainier, like there's a huge, backcountry community,
Mhm.
which I would like to do. I mean, I don't know. As you know, like when you have kids and
Mhm.
jobs and stuff, it gets harder. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people I've seen up there, I tend to think like a lot of them probably either their kids are grown or
Yeah. They've never had
or they
kids.
never had. They're younger. You know, it just takes a lot of time and flexibility to
Definitely.
do something like that.
Yeah, they can focus their attention on that.
Yeah. Not
I,
to mention like the fitness level to just like
oh yeah,
on a whim be like, I'm gonna climb up Baker today and ski down. Like
right.
it takes a lot of
So
continued exercise.
you're right too. It has to probably be earlier in the season because then there's fewer crevasse
Well,
danger
to ski
risks.
down, you know, because the
Mhm.
snow level rises
Mhm.
pretty quickly after, I don't know. I mean, probably right around now.
Yeah,
Now would be the time. After this, you want to go?
yeah. Let's do it.
But yeah, I think like May or June is when, you know, the snow level starts to like rise pretty quickly.
Mm.
What month did you guys climb it?
Oh shoot, I thought it was June.
Yeah. Yeah, like June, July, like you're hiking on
Yeah.
dirt for
Maybe it
quite a
was early
ways,
June.
right? I think like April, May, you know,
Mhm.
you can almost ski down to the parking lot.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So who knows, maybe next year.
yeah. What do they call that? Railroad grade. That's where you're on that ridge, and there's a big glacier wash. It's probably full of snow.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't remember that one. There's like 3 or 4 different routes you can take.
Yeah, we went up the Roman Wall.
Well, I think everyone does the Roman Wall
Mm-hmm.
ultimately,
Okay.
but the approach to there, I think
Mm-hmm.
there's 2 or 3 different routes. There's like the
Okay.
Easton Glacier.
That's when the one we did.
I think that's the most popular one.
Mm-hmm.
We came from the north near Baker Lake, which
Okay.
I forget the name of that route.
Okay,
But,
that's different.
yeah,
Yeah, we came from the south.
right. There's different approaches, and I think the Roman Wall, there's no getting around that. That's near the summit where it's like super
Mhm.
steep. Yeah.
I think if you come from the north, don't you have to like kind of hook around to the Roman Wall and then up?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We kind of just followed a ridge line all the way
Mhm.
up, and then I don't remember like hooking around per se.
Did you ever see the rim of the volcano?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
on the
was
Roman
wild.
Wall. Yeah.
Yeah, there's few things crazier than looking down into the caldera of an active volcano.
It is.
Really, like
Yeah.
puts things into perspective.
Yeah, I enjoy looking at Mount Baker differently now.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't really understand it when I saw it,
Well, you
from
don't think of it as an active volcano
right. No.
until you're looking down into the caldera.
Yeah.
It's active.
Yep.
It's like
smelly.
actively, yeah, like the sulfur, rotten egg smell and
Mhm.
steaming.
Right.
Yeah, we were like, looking over. Our guide was like, "All right, that's close enough."
Yeah, it was pretty steep.
Yeah, no, you could easily like fall down into there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think like Baker's pretty benign. I don't think very many people have died on the way up. Apparently, it's like on the top where people have passed away
Really?
because they let their guard down and they just fall off.
Really?
Yeah,
Um,
that's what our guide was saying.
okay.
Which is
Off the other side, maybe the north side?
just when you're on the summit, like
Mhm.
not paying attention, or
Mhm.
maybe people
Yeah.
peeking in the caldera. I don't know, but
I've heard we've lost some people on some other hikes. The Pilchuck, you
mm,
heard of that? Have you ever done that one?
no.
It's a 5-hour hike, but it's pretty
I've heard
steep.
about it.
And you have to do some bouldering.
Mm.
But there's a lookout.
Yeah, it's like a fire tower, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the top. And there is a 1,000-foot cliff there, right next to the lookout. Yeah, so just getting to the lookout, the last 20 yards, is pretty gnarly.
Are there like ropes or chains or anything?
No, you have to like boulder it. But
Sounds sketchy.
it is. Yeah.
Sounds like Three Peaks on Oahu. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't done that one.
Have you heard about it though? There's like this
Mm.
famous hike where you like park at a golf course on Oahu.
Okay.
It's super popular, but there's literally 3 peaks, and the first peak is not bad.
Yeah.
The second peak is a little bit sketchy, but I wouldn't say like too, life threatening. The
Mhm.
third peak, like when you're on top of peak 2, I'll show you a picture after this, but
Mhm.
third peak is just by itself, like sheer walls. So to like climb the third peak, you're literally just no ropes. Maybe there's ropes, I don't know, but you're not like officially belaying or anything. You're just like climbing with your hands and feet up this like sheer, slippery Hawaiian mountain, and a lot of people have died on peak 3.
Wow.
That's what it sounds like, kind of.
Well, there's probably...
I've never done peak 3. I've gone to peak 2, and I was like, I'm good.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm good.
I got kids. I don't want to go out this way.
Well, I shouldn't. I mean, Pilchuck late in the season, like July, it'd be great. I mean, even Luke was 9 or maybe 6, and he went up with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's safe.
You just gotta be careful.
Yeah, I think probably the dangerous part is when you're there before the snow melts.
Yeah.
And people are bouldering, and there's some ice on the boulder, and they slip off the boulder.
Yeah, I mean, mountaineering is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you just got to like keep in mind that safety margin.
Yeah.
Like if you ever get to the point where it's like, if you're thinking to yourself, this is unsafe.
Yeah.
It's probably time to turn around.
Yeah. We just lost
That's a lot of people die is they keep going when they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Honestly.
Or they're a little tired.
Or they're tired, or they're alone, which definitely in the backcountry, like in Alaska, a lot of the people who would die in avalanches would just be alone. So yeah, just never go out alone.
Right. Yeah. Make sure you get somebody to call.
Remember that, kids.
Yeah.
Or at least have like a satellite phone or something. But I mean, if you get like buried in an avalanche or something, like if you're with friends, they can try to find
within
you,
about 2 minutes. You can dig somebody out.
But if you're by yourself,
right?
Gotta look.
Yeah, there was a snowboarder that did you see that video?
Yeah,
at Baker.
Yeah, that was a super famous video. That was, I mean, talk about like luck.
I know,
man.
Yeah,
that
was so cool.
That guy definitely, I think, had some divine intervention that day.
Totally.
Like, I mean, he was head first into a tree wall,
and
barely visible.
Was his board.
Yeah, but he could barely even see his board, but just, literally just by chance, a skier was going by and saw his board, and he was like, crap, that's the wrong side of a snowboarder.
Right.
And had the presence of mind to like dig him out quick. I mean, anybody who's been up to Baker and the side country around there, like there's, especially late season, there's serious tree walls.
Yeah, and that's not even an avalanche, you know.
Oh no, but tree walls, like in the Northwest, tree walls are a big deal.
Right.
You know? Like Colorado, you don't get that as much, right? Or like Utah, because they don't have the snowpack. But
yeah, I wonder about technology. I wonder about
trees are different up here.
Right. Like if there's something you could jettison, you know, like on your vest, carry with you, you know.
Well, they make airbag packs, which I had one in Alaska
for an avalanche, right?
Yeah, but
keeps you on top of it,
right?
Of the flow,
right? So in a tree well, it probably wouldn't do much. They do. I've heard about these things. They just started selling recently, which are like, where you can like breathe out of the snowpack.
Yeah.
So it's like a tube.
Yep.
And it'll just be like next to your head.
Yep.
So if you find yourself under the snow,
you can hopefully you have one arm.
Even if your arms are not able to move, you can like reach your head over and, you know, breathe through this hose, and it like literally pulls air out of the snowpack.
Really?
And it buys you however much time. So that could work in a tree well.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a oxygen. Oxygen is pretty heavy, in its gaseous form. You know, but what about like, I don't know if you could like basically, it would be tough and pretty expensive to like have carry a tank with you.
Yeah,
and then some kind of alarm just to extend to like 6 hours even. Yeah,
it'd be heavy. I don't know. They have the airbag packs. They have the breathing tubes.
I
actually it's like a vest backpack thing. They're getting pretty popular now, or it's just more comfortable to wear than a backpack. But mine has like an airbag you can take in and out. And it basically just has like I think it's like a CO2 cylinder that deploys it.
Yep.
And you just have to like refill the CO2 cylinder, or they have battery powered ones, which are nice because you don't have to like, you know, refill the cylinder.
That's the right idea though, a tube, because there's no moving parts.
The tube is cool. It's it doesn't keep you on top of the snow as much. And I think the airbag is supposed to protect your head and neck too. Like if you're getting tumbled around in an avalanche, like it'll
And there's debris that's floating around
protect you from like a rock or, they say, I think it increases your chances of survival by like 50% or something. But man, if you're caught in an avalanche, like full tilt, I don't know. That's when you start praying, where you're like,
yeah, a friend of mine has.
You don't know what's going to happen. If you go off a cliff,
sure,
you don't know how deep you're going to get buried.
Well, one danger is there's, tree trunks that are flying by you,
or tree trunks that are downhill from you that you can get.
Yep.
You stop your fall real quick.
Yeah, you get bent around a tree trunk.
Yeah.
And in between you and your spine.
Yeah, I mean, not a place you want to be. That's why I haven't really been in the backcountry for a while, because I don't know. It's my risk tolerance has gotten lower and lower as I've gotten older and had kids. And
yeah,
you know how it goes. It's like these things are fun, right? But it's like risk reward. There's a lot of ways to have fun.
Totally.
That are a lot safer.
As you get older, there's more at stake, right? You've got more to lose.
Yeah.
When you're younger, nothing to lose. You're just less at stake.
Different mentality too. Yeah. I got to do all that stuff when I was younger. And
thanks for listening to the latest episode with Erik Henden. One of the things I really enjoyed goes with this quote: treat failure like a scientist. Each attempt is an experiment. Each mistake is a clue. You're not failing, you're refining. And I'll see you guys on the other side.